Is it harder or easier to negotiate against someone who is a narcissist? Well, let me tell you, I think it's quite easy. My name's Dr. Tatiana Stray, and I specialize all in the realm of negotiations, personal relationships, body language. And recently, when I was doing training, which the general message of my training is always like how to negotiate from a space of creating good, solid professional relationships. So you both maximize outcomes and the science behind all that. But at the very end, I had some individuals come up and say, you know what? I think we were negotiating against narcissists and I just don't know how to do it. So let's chat a little bit about that because I understand it is exceptionally frustrating when you're dealing with someone who's very self-centered, but actually you can play their general tendencies against them to get what you need. So let's chat a little bit about what is narcissism. So narcissism is very much in the context of a professional space, a mixed blessing. Narcissists often have amazing personalities. They have grandiose, a lot of self-love, inflated self-views. So they actually tend to raise pretty fast in negotiations. And there's a disproportionate amount of them in higher spaces. But the way they get there is very often by burning bridges, and they will do things to their benefit at the expense of organizations and the individuals around them. So they're very much a liability for an organization later on. But if you end up with a narcissistic boss, this is definitely a fun, challenging situation to be in. Narcissist is very much characterized by a sense of specialness, uniqueness. They have a sense of entitlement. They use people very much as tools, and they like to have power and self-esteem. And these are general tendencies. And I think it's really important to note that we're not classifying people as narcissists. So I'm not saying your boss is a narcissist, but there are definitely people that have these tendencies. And I think also, unfortunately, because people don't understand that business can be done very much from a place of cooperation. Sometimes our culture and our media makes people behave a little bit more narcissistic at work than they really need to be. In the context of relationships, these are very low quality relationships if it's true narcissism. You'll likely have very shallow connections, and there'll be a form of exploitation and manipulation in them. I'll tell you, once I had an individual very much on the malignant or passive, they're called like passive narcissists now. And those are individuals that don't necessarily like to take the center stage, but no matter what they do, it always kind of comes back at them. They often take this victim mentality and they use you very much as a tool. So it's a little bit harder to spot them, but ultimately you will notice they're still categorized by that lack of shallow connection. And at the end of the day, they're using you as a tool. So they're still always using you to benefit themselves in some way. The thing about narcissists, while they have this very inflated self-view, they're actually pretty fragile inside. That's why they need to play these crazy manipulative games and use you to bolster themselves up. And they can be pretty vicious when you tug at that self-esteem aspect. For them, it's very much defined as a status within the group, and that's why they need to be the center of attention. They need a sense of loyalty. They want you to say amazing things about them. They want you to be part of their success journey. It's all about them, nothing to do with you. You're only there to make them look good, or what people in the space might call narcissistic supply. But we're going to stay away a little bit from that language. So here are some cues that you're dealing with someone who is a narcissist. They very much have grandiose, self-centered behaviors. There are like when you talk to them, there's some sort of fantasy about how much power, success, or how attractive they are. They have a constant need for praise and admiration. There's a sense of entitlement. There's a lack of empathy, especially people below them. Because they're very status sensitive, they'll be lovely to people above them, pretty good with people at their level, but people below them, not very nice. And there is a tendency to exploit others. Some cues that your organization is run by a narcissist leader is that there's a general focus on how great the narcissist is. There's this whole conversation about loyalty, and that is rewarded rather than good work. Punishment is very much disseminated publicly. If people don't adhere, they're cut off, and they're like labeled as, traitors to the company. The individuals that exhibit the most loyalty in the organization get special treatment. Another interesting study I remember a long time ago was when companies publish reports, the bigger the face of the CEO in the report, it had a tendency to be correlated to this self-imposed narcissistic tendency. So very much those are some of the cues that you're looking for. But like I said, there's also malignant narcissists that don't always take the spotlight but still use you as a tool. So you have to be very mindful that when you're looking at, is this person a narcissist? Ultimately, it's about the relationship that they have with you, and do they have your back, or are you always benefiting them? Now, when you're dealing with a narcissist, remember, you are always a tool to them. So what are the things that you're going to do? One is you're never going to share personal information because it's very much going to be used against you. Keep things very shallow. Always throw it back to them. So remember in a conversation where someone was trying to get information, and I definitely didn't want to share anything about myself. I just brought it back about them, being like, tell me more about your amazing vacation or that recent recent engagement. And there they will love talking about themselves. They will not really miss a beat that you didn't share so much about yourself. They don't care. They want to chat about themselves. When you're dealing with the narcissist, you also want to play in the space of having witnesses, and you want to make sure that they know you have their back. Remember, they're very sensitive to status. You want to avoid fights publicly because that's really where they dig in. And you want to get most things in writing and potentially know that you have an out and what the law is. It's really important to know the limitations of who you're dealing with, and that you don't have to stick around for their abuse or being treated like a tool if you don't want to. So in the context of where your boss is the narcissist, it's important to know that you need to set boundaries with yourself. You need to use the public arena in a way that helps you navigate them. So do things publicly so that they feel appeased for your benefit. So if you have a project you want to move along, make sure that your success is tied to their success. But you do not want to get into the place where you are publicly criticizing or getting into any power struggle with them, because that's going to unleash a very negative side of them, because you've threatened that core self-belief aspect of them. So now they need to get that back publicly, which means doing something to you or pressing you down. You cannot expect reciprocity from them. These are shallow one-way interactions for you. Now, when you're negotiating with them, so it doesn't have to be a boss now, it can be a client, you have to really understand the limitations of their personality. They say even when you get a narcissist into a therapy room, it's very, very hard to treat them because they are so self-centered and their defense mechanisms are so built up, in part because there is a deep hurt that they're trying to protect. So it's not necessarily that they genuinely think that they're the best, but that's what's conscious of them, because it's very much hiding an unstable like personality structure. You definitely want to document everything. Do not believe anything they say wordly. I promise you, they're going to say whatever you want to hear to get you to do the thing that they need you to do. This is also called future faking. Okay, so the idea that if you do this, I will give you a promotion. If you do this, I will spotlight your project. And then they don't do that. You have to realize it's not going to happen unless it's in their best interest. So when I say it's easy to navigate narcissists, what I mean is they are self-interested. Do not expect reciprocity. Given that, now you know how to deal with them. Everything you say is to bolster them and to help them see the value that you bring them as a tool for their personal agenda. So you would have conversations with them about, tell me what you want to achieve. Let me tell you then how I can help get you there. If you bolster them publicly, they will love you, because what they're looking for is loyalty, not quality of work. So using those cues, you actually can, I don't want to say manipulate the manipulator, but you can play the manipulator 100%. For yourself, you have to have a very divided personal and public life when you're dealing with them, because they cannot get at you emotionally. Like they don't have any interest in engaging in any empathy with you or helping you in any capacity. You do not want to reveal any information that's personal to you. And you can use deflection tools of focusing the conversation on them and their success rate to create that distance. Or you can provide them with very shallow information that they cannot use against you. Also, you want to kind of not give them the benefit of the doubt of getting you upset. So you want to keep your emotions generally pretty even around them. And you want to build your sources of power. Now, I would generally never suggest that you're in a situation where the narcissist has the most power over you. In a corporate setting, this could mean making sure you have executive sponsorship from different areas. It could also mean the ability to walk away. So if you do not enjoy working with somebody, make sure you have an out. If your client is narcissistic and they're very difficult to work with, make sure you have contacts within the company. I would also suggest creating contacts above that person, so then you create a relationship, because that narcissist will always love appeasing the people that are higher than them to get some extra status with them. So if you have relationships with people that are higher than them, they're going to be bound to listen to you more. And so it's really important to keep bolstering your sources of power. So hopefully that was a little bit insightful in thinking about how to deal with narcissists at work. And as I said, using these tools, you should be able to play them a little bit better.